Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today we're looking at Destinies, a competitive 1 to 3 player game whereby we're trying to fill our fate. We're trying to fulfill it doing very different ways. We are interacting with each other. As you can see, it's a 1 to 3 player game. Nope, there's no 4 player allowed in this. It would mean that interaction would be difficult. It means you would not be interacting with one person, and in fact you'd have to bluff. This is a game that does use an app. I'm just going to bring that up and show you how we are going to set the game up. So, as I mentioned, it's 1 to 3. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be sharing fates. You're going to have one character, let's say character 1 here. They're going to have one thing in common with player 2. Player 2 is going to have one thing in common with player 3, and player 3 one thing in common with player 1. So what we can do is load up the app. You can choose which destiny to do, so you can stick with the first one. There's many expansions that we bring in showing you Route 2 as well. You can hit an update as well, but you can see in the dead of winter, a monster preys on the town. Upon whispers of curses and dark magic, there are a few who will not cower and hide. See if I can get this volume up to make sure it's fully up. But go into the night to face the beast. What a fate awaits them. And suddenly here's some wonderful stuff going on here. So you can choose if you're playing normal mode, 2 to 3 players, challenger, solo. Basically, you're timed in terms of how many actions you can take. Explorer, take your time, and Bound by Fate is a 2x2 version of it. Listen to this.
It was a dark night in the dead of winter.
It's very cool. Excellent sound effects as well. Download the app, it is free. And check this out.
To wolves, the men quickly assembled a hunting party. The few who returned, bloodied and terrified, spoke of a monster, a werewolf, hungry for human flesh.
Okay, so excellent stuff. You're going to choose one of your characters. It's going to allow you to play with one of these 3 characters in this first game. Different characters will be played with different missions. And there's other things you can be playing with as well. So you can select like a noble, hit OK, select these 2 characters because we're playing with 2. And therefore we're going to find this character. Now 20 isn't necessarily provided on the box, but you can now get a printout for that. And you'll be placing out tokens onto these locations. I'm going to bring this out of screenshot for a second. So, this is a game whereby, for example, one person wants to rescue the princess, which means another person wants to rescue the princess. Someone wants to kill a troll, and the person who's trying to rescue the princess, at least one of them, won't be the same person who's also rescuing the troll. And the person who's trying to kill a troll is also trying to, become a knight. And therefore, the person who wants to become a knight is, again, someone who's not the same as somebody else, if that makes sense. I did run through that in my head prior to doing this. Let me show you an example. So various cards you can be playing with. You'll only play with, what you need. But let me grab the respective cards relating to these various characters. So we talked about the noble and the witch, etc. So the noble here, that is going to go on your board. We're going to have the witch, so we're going to talk about the witch for a second as well. And like I said, it might be the case that you're trying to save a princess, you're trying to save a princess, you're trying to beat a troll. This person is trying to beat a troll, and the huntsman is trying to beat a troll, and also, let's say, become a knight. So that's how you're interacting with each other. Again, if this was a 4, then you're not going to have any kind of interaction with one player, which is why they don't do it. As you can see, it's QR driven. You're using the app to define what you're doing. Everybody's going to take some starting stuff. And just as it says here, you're taking some special dice. So you're going to take one of these special dice, which you're going to get off to the side. You're going to have some other dice you're going to play with too. So let me just move everything out of shot. As you can see, I have not zoomed in or out. I want to give you as much quality as possible at the right kind of quality. And if you have any questions, do let me know in the comments of this on YouTube. Of course, do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. So here we are. This is telling us exactly how to set it up. So you're going to take these various tokens and place them out into respective locations. So we have 5 going off here. We have intelligence. So in this case, this person, I'll tell you if that means they're intelligent or not in a second. You'll be doing skill checks, and you need to roll dice which are equal or exceed these various positions. The more that you can pass or succeed at, the better, because that means you are better at that particular skill. So, like I said, this is also shared in else other media, so make sure you do head over to YouTube to check out any kind of updates. So for example, I rolled 2 dice, I rolled a 5, let's say I rolled it on intelligence, I get 1 success. But you can roll 3 of these dice. You don't have to roll them all, but in your turn you might be doing multiple things, and once you've used them, they are exhausted until the beginning of your next turn, hence exhausting your dice. So you can acquire and obviously choose to roll some extra things on your turn. That is possible. I also start off with some starting location items, so there are some duplicates, so just be aware of that when you're trying to sort out your deck. I start off with a sword. I have space for up to 5 items that can go beneath my board, so I'm just going to make some space now. Move this out of shot. As you see, some wonderful miniatures. So now I've got this in play. It shows me I've got a sword. I can get any of these 5 slots, it doesn't matter, but it has a cost of 1 gold. I can actually sell it if I wanted to as well, and this means I can interact with this. Maybe I can fight with it and saying, what are you going to fight me with? I'm doing it on a power test, and therefore I can scan it, or I can just use my dice to try and see how well I do. But in a power test, you do not roll any dice, which can include these as well. Instead, your total is 10. So 10, as you can see, is pretty high. At the minute, that's only worth 2 successes, but if these were further down, which you can definitely do a lot throughout the game, lots of things allow you to do so, then this might be happen to go down to here, that might be here, then it's a skill hit of 4, and generally a 4 is a success. There's a definition that does define it, and the kind of reasoning behind it is at this time it's like, okay, yeah, you've hit me, you've not exactly stabbed me, you've just tapped me, or you've swung and a miss. And this one is, okay, yeah, you've tapped me, now you kind of stabbed me, now you slice my arm off, or something like that. That's kind of the premise on how it works. Now, if you happen to get a 5 or a 6, because these special dice, they do happen to have an immediate success. So each of them represents a guaranteed hit, so it could be 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, depending on what else you roll. So on this would be an 8 plus this, it's 1, 2 plus 3. So let's just talk to you about the definition of what those different things represent in terms of those skill difficulty. So 1 success to pass is known as easy, then it's moderate, difficult, very difficult, and that 5 and 6, as I mentioned, is epic. In terms of a little bit more about these things, in terms of intelligence, it basically reflects cleverness, charisma, and wisdom. Examples are talking with someone, focusing on a task, reasoning, drawing conclusions. Whereas dexterity, this one here, is reflecting agility and sense awareness. Examples are sneaking past guards, searching for tracks, climbing a tree. And power reflects strength, health, and endurance. Examples are fighting a monster, lifting a heavy object, and running a long distance. So there we are. Let's say I've got my starting object. Everyone's going to start off with 1. We're also going to take our respective dice, which we've already talked about, and now we're ready to say which chapter we're going to be playing with. We of course do need that specific character in play, which, as I mentioned, can be pretty tricky to try and find, but I need to find someone who looks a little bit like a noble. I'll see what I can do best. But we do have some special dice. So we happen to have 2 main dice represented by these. They're called main dice, and you happen to have 3 effort dice represented by them. So in this case, 1 starts exhausted. We already have 2 there. We also start off with 1 coin, which is fairly standard for every single game. So you've got a coin you can spend and buy more stuff. And again, we have that Destiny card and miniature. So I'm not flipping this around, just to not spoil it. But if I can kind of partially show it to you, it's something like, yeah, you need to do something. So you need to do something relating to what the task is, and it's going to tell you to go to a certain location. Okay, so let's grab a character miniature. I'm not saying it is this person, but it doesn't look far off. So we've got this person here, which I think is actually that guy. As you can see, these are very, they really have the word mini and miniature here. Very tiny guys here. So that's going to come out on the board, and now we're going to set up the game. So what we're going to be doing is defining what it is that we are going to be playing with. So we've already got our stuff set up. We're now doing the same for the witch. Let's skip and say we've got the witch. So we've got everything. Save it automatically. We're now placing out certain tiles. So in this case, it's telling us to bring out the church. Now I do know that I might not have everything in shots here, but the church comes out, all welcome. The town hall is locked and barred. We also now have a certain character coming out on the church, and this represents a cleric or something like that. So let's bring out a character that looks like this. Again, it can take some time, but I did get it right. So here we are. This guy is in the church. It shows you exactly what they look like. And apart from that, we also bring out another tile, which you'll notice does kind of match it, but it's in grey. We cannot go there unless we choose to move there as an action. We cannot interact with that tile until we go there. So suddenly we have now got ourselves a location, and we'll be starting on this location too, along with the witch. And as you can see, there is another location that has brought out as well. So let's just move this all off to the side a little bit and bring out 11. And as you can see, I can now choose to go somewhere, and I'm pretty sure it's going to let me bring out some other stuff too. So the road through the forest used to be much safer. Down to the south and up north, we have got wolf howl somewhere in the meadow. So we know that's of interest. Refresh and effort die. So suddenly that comes back as well. In fact, they all start off initially. And now I can choose interact with this person here, or maybe I can go hunting for that wolf. But let's just say I could go north, but let's just say I interact and visit the church. So right now I can do various things. I can steal money from the offering box. Well, again, I could roll 2 dice. My average is like a 2 on these dice. We have 1 to 4 value, but as you can see, some things are on here multiple times. There's 2 3s and there are 2 1s. So the church gathers the faithful every day since the beast attacked. Some see the beast as a divine punishment. Most believe it can't step onto sacred ground. With so many eager to repent for their sins, the offering box is always full. The priest approaches you as you enter. He seems distracted. So it may be asked about a destiny. So you're going to scan your destiny and it's going to tell you something. So we could do something like, okay, this one, I would help you, he said, but not before my dilemma is resolved. So this person needs some help. So we could choose to help them first. And without spoiling it, purple, remember, is that purple. So you're trying to do something relating to that. So I could steal some money, could pray, ask him what troubles him. Friend of a dilemma, he confesses. I intended to visit the Romani camp to spread the word of Christ among them. Now my trouble is twofold. First, I won't attempt it without permission from their fortune teller, otherwise it would be pointless to even try. And second, well now amid these hellish events, I'm not sure that I'm prepared to spread the good news anymore. So right now we're thinking, well, do we find a fortune teller? Is that what we're going to be doing? Do we encourage him? Well, we're quite good on that, so let's try a skill test. So now you're going to roll your dice. You don't have to roll all, remember, because you might roll the turns left. So I've rolled a 6. That gives me 1 success because I've passed that one. Reached or passed it. So in this case, I lose, which is bad. I can move any of these 1 position to the right. They can't land on the same space as something else. But I do gain myself one of these like Valiant tokens, which represents me being, before I start a turn of a challenge, basically a skill test, move one of these 2 spaces to the left, or 1 thing 2 spaces, or 2 things 1 space, if that makes sense. So that's what it stated me. But I see your point. The priest is visibly uncomfortable, but I don't think I could convince them or anything in the face of such tragedies. Oh, what should I do? So those are called experience tokens. So I pray. Well, let's try praying. Here we go. I get a refresh on my dice, which is good, which is really nice. Refresh with dice, and I can steal some money. So now I can roll all of them if I want to. Again, anything I don't roll has to come off, but it's the end of my turn anyway. And each turn, I'll only be refreshing one of these dice. These always come back. So I rolled 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 2 successes. And you could need more. Who could need it more than you? You ask yourself. If the coins are heavy, so is your guilt. So now I've given myself an extra coin. Now I've got 2 coins, so I can do something. No way to spend it at the minute, but maybe I'm going to wander off somewhere and do it. So ends my turn. There's nothing else I can do, and now it's the witch's turn, and they can move. So let's just say they move here. So well, let's just say they move here. Just because I've got it in front of me. Explore it. Yes. Now you can move up to 2 spaces, but only if they are visible. So in this case, on my future turn, I can move here and then off to a grey location, but I can't go beyond here in terms of I can only go up to 1 grey location. So this part of town houses the inn and the craftsman's dwellings. Usually it's teeming with life. Now the street is empty. And we've got more grey things surrounding it for the time being until we're going to fill up the perimeter of the map. The forest does not look welcome to you. The fields are frozen solid. And there is an inn. And we also have a smith. So there's various things that we can interact with. And that's going to be how it goes. There might be a market to bring out, etc. If a market does come out, you're going to take a respective token that is going to match. You can take 2 of these. One of these is going to go where the market is, and one's going to come off the board so you know where you can interact with it. And so what do I think of the game? So this game's going to go on until you have reached your destiny. Then a big D is going to come up, and you're going to go to the location whereby you're going to fight whatever it is that is the boss in that particular game. In terms of my view on the game, very impressed with this game. Very impressed by Lucky Duck and what they've done here. It's my favourite of their games so far. I have preferred it over Chronicles of Crime. I found this a lot more immersive, interactive, and I think just rather than that game whereby you happen to scan a card and oh hello, I'm this person, it just seems a bit flat. This seems a lot more 3-dimensional. I don't know if it is because of these miniatures, which are very detailed and crafted. And like I said, 1 to 3 player. There's 5 missions in the base game. I have played this at all 5 missions at all player counts. So I've played it solo, I've played it as a 2, and I've played it as a 3. There's a slight advantage you might gain depending on what you're doing if you happen to know and recall where you want to go. And I have played all the different characters. There's 15 different characters. I've played all characters as well. And I think it is best as a 2 because there's a slight gap in terms of downtime when you're playing as a 3. You are listening out to hearing what people are doing, but you'll never see, when you scan this code, only you will read it, and the app knows that. So it won't read it out loud, and it does involve other players not being able to figure out what they've just been told. So if you're interacting with someone, then you don't know what it's telling you, but it is clever enough to make sure that if you complete a certain objective, not necessarily your destiny, but some small things such as finding that fortune teller if you wanted to, then it would allow you to remove that character from the map. So those do disappear and you're like, oh, okay, that person's found something that I secretly wanted to do as well. So it's very fun. Rating 8 out of 10, so this is way above average, my 6.4 being an average of over 2,700 reviews. I see lots of things to go through, obviously not playing with all of them each game. Big deck of items as well, which occasionally you'll see all of them, but you won't necessarily see them very much more than once. And yes, it's a very fun experience. I do have an expansion mentioned. It'll go in my expansion playlist. This is going to have a setup, play and review playlist, the AmassGames playlist, etc. Again, it isn't cooperative, and that is interesting because of the whole interaction of it, which you do get in Chronicles of Crime, but that could be regarded more of a solo experience. I didn't really bother too much playing this solo in terms of playing it well, because I'd already played at other player accounts. But yes, highly enjoyable, love the music. I wanted to definitely recommend listening to that music a bit more because it gets even better. Thanks very much for watching. Obviously like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll speak to you soon. Enjoy the game, back to the table.